Hello, everyone. Sorry, just get. How are we doing tonight? Good. I am doing great as well. Thank you for asking. I had a few Windows updates to do, so we're starting a few minutes late tonight. I apologize for that, but we'll get right into it. Let me share my screen with you all. We had, well, I don't want to say nice delivery, but to me, I finally had a day this week where I could see clearly, and it was very nice to see. We've been consolidating since the start of the week, which was to be expected, right? FOMC, we're waiting for this very high impact news. And even though yesterday there was a news, still, day before FOMC, not that much impact, if we can say so. Now, just to start on a daily chart, what did we do today? Well, very simple. We took out previous day high and previous day low. Whenever this happens, it is such a beautiful framework. So we're going to concentrate on these levels as we always do, right? Nothing new here. Previous day high and previous day low are important levels of liquidity, but we also want to concentrate on the fact that we have kept this SMT, right? So what I mean by that is that we have not invalidated this SMT yet. I'm not taking away the idea of a bullish week. I still think it is very much possible for us to go bullish, and I just went into replay mode so we don't see the current price action, right? The current Thursday price action. That's why I'm in replay mode. But you guys will see we're like 200 handles up already during Asia, so definitely would like to see us invalidate this SMT, but for today it was not invalidated. So we're stuck between the liquidity above, previous month's high, and the liquidity below, which on ES we have not visited, but stronger asset to be expected, right? So stuck between, well, basically when we have price action that is, as I just repeated a few times, stuck between arrays, we tend to see a lot of consolidation until a clear raid, and then we can go for it. Taking into account FOMC today, we have a clear raid. I would like to see this SMT possibly hold for us to dig a little deeper, and then Friday possibly continuation higher. But there's a lot that goes into predicting tomorrow. So I don't want to get into it right now, but the direction of the news due to swing tomorrow will be of great impact along with the London session that we'll see tonight. But enough talking about the future, let's go straight into today, right? As I always do, why would I go into any of my other time frames when I can just have a clear idea on the daily, right? So my idea on the daily is very clear. Oh, see, it just removed my replay mode, so why not? I already have my idea on the daily. It's that we're going to bounce out of this gap and push higher. Now there is SMT, so there's also a possibility for reversal, meaning that today I was looking for longs and shorts. Now the only thing that will frame my specific trades, and actually let me go back here. The only thing that will frame my specific trades is going to be the news and the price action in relation to that news. What's up, Alex? Glad to have you with us. Calling FOMC all day, every day. But as I stated, we're going to concentrate on these specific levels, which if I just plop up my sessions, are previous day high and previous day low. We don't have to get more complicated than that. On our higher time frame, we are stuck between SMT and a bullish fair value gap. What do we have? Liquidity levels from yesterday, and then of course, I like to use a 15-minute time frame, intraday time frame, to look for liquidity of any type to frame a trade idea. As we know, before FOMC, what is this price action? Bullshit. We are stuck within a range. We are consolidating, waiting for that specific, well, first volatility, how do we call it again? I'm forgetting the word. Liquidity injection. There we go. So the first liquidity injection at 2, and then the 2:30 press conference by Powell. Let me just put these levels on our other chart as well. I have these two levels. What next? Well, with news, I'm looking for a Judah swing. Now, FOMC tends to be a little bit different because of these two, well, I don't want to say injections, but these two times at which we see very specific things happen. So you can see 2 is the official release, how we see it. And then you would wait up until 2:30 to look for a trade. And as I tell my students, I give it 15 minutes because FOMC is very volatile and Powell doesn't always speak for a minute or two. So you give it a little chance to settle down and then you get your trade opportunity. From that point on, what do I see? Well, my Judas swing clearly went higher, took out previous day high, target is previous day low. That's simple. You have a clear consolidation at this point, which you can frame as a market maker sell model to this level, which is the beautiful delivery that we got today. Well, beautiful. Beautiful is a big word, right? It wasn't that low resistance and nice and everything, but to me, it's beautiful if it's a move I can predict with ease. Previous day high, previous day low, swept previous day high. Just look at the candle closes at this point. And yes, of course, we traded higher, which we'll speak on in a second. But at this point in time, our idea is clear. Now, the only thing that we are missing, for me at least, is intermediate time frame SMT. So I didn't have any 15-minute or other SMT, right? We both took out previous day high. Now I can go into the hourly chart and look further to the left, but that doesn't interest me. I want recent SMT specifically. I'm in the 1 minute, sorry. If I go to the 15-minute, you guys will see. I don't want to go and look far to the left and say, oh, well, this swing point, this swing point. I have my higher time frame. So I want 1 minute SMT, right? Lower time frame SMT to confirm my idea, but I don't need it. Now, where do we look to? 245. Let me frame it. 245 before I look for an entry. Now, this is stuff that I've all spoken about before, and you can find in the projects tab. I've talked about how I interact with news specifically and my rules for executing with news. But what's my model? The unicorn. I trade the unicorn specifically. Higher time frame point of interest. Sweeping previous day high. What else? Well, I need my unicorn. Breaker block right here. Let me just change these colors so it's a little simpler to see. After I have my breaker block, I'm looking for an overlapping PD array. Now I'm looking for a bearish array. And I'm not trading before 45. The reason why we went through all my logic with the news is because why am I not entering here, which clearly was a better entry at this point in time, but I would have gotten stopped out, probably break even at some point here. But it's because that is not following my model. This inverse fair value gap is invalidated. This inverse fair value gap is my entry. Let me mark it out specifically. Inverse fair value gap. Oh, actually, I didn't see we invalidated it at this point. So no. And if you're wondering, I did not trade this today. I was having fun watching Alex call FOMC the whole afternoon. It was very nice to see. But I'm looking for an on-site PD array. I don't have one. I'm starting to look at 46. Don't have one, don't have one. I don't enter off of order blocks. Inversion, fair value gap right here. See, I remembered it was an inverse fair value gap, but I'm reviewing this at the same time as you guys. Very nice, Alex, very nice. If we look right here, inversed on this candle at 1454. Now, could we speak about the 1450 to 310 macro? Sure, I don't use it. I never do. I know there is upcoming volatility because it's a 1 hour open, and I'm going to filter. Basically, I'm going to manage my trade based off of that, but it's not interesting to me. Now, at this point, 3 PD array stop loss rule. What do I have? I have an order block above that we just created from the same time as we inverse this. I have my inverse fair value gap, and I have another order block to the left. That is my 3 PD array rule. Now, I'm looking very quickly if there's SMT at this level, which, I mean, you could say there is, because ES is equal at these levels, or maybe not actually. Let's look at our actual values. High of this is 5728.75, and we have to 8.75. So ES being equal, NASDAQ having it taken out is SMT. Now, SMT from a mechanical approach, to me, when ES is equal on the level, right? So ES forms equal highs. I like to regard them as mitigated. Now, I won't speak on why, but it is a higher probability. Basically, you'll find more SMT that way, right? Or sometimes you won't. In this very specific case, this is not SMT, but it is higher probability. As I said, for now, I won't be speaking more in depth about it. Following this, you have an entry. What are your targets? Because we don't use specific R objectives. Well, I have a range that we formed with the news. So let me just mark this out, even though it's a little pushed in. Let me just do this so it's a little easier to see. Have a range. I'm looking for us to return to a discount. We already returned to a discount of this range. So if we're pushing back below and I'm taking a short, it's because I anticipate, right? I expect that our next objective will be the data lows, right? The lows from the initial FOMC news. So I'm not utilizing anything else. But am I going to hold this trade all the way to 5R and allow it to retrace to me? No. I'm going to take profit along the way. So by taking my breaker block standard deviations, let me just mark it out like this, I can frame a high probability objective. As I said, this might be a high probability objective, but it is too far for my liking. So I'm going to align one standard deviation and have that level be purely my take profit. Now, if you want to be conservative, the easy take profit is at what we could call, well, what Alex would call, actually, let's use that, the logical liquidity objective, I believe, something like that. But you see low resistance to the left. The mindset is that once we reach that level, we could now reverse. So you can utilize it in that very specific sense. Now, when you have a higher time frame breaker, which in this case also formed a 5-minute breaker block, you can also use the bodies of those, which is what I prefer to do. 5-minute breaker blocks, standard deviations off the bodies are the best standard deviations you can have. And see, well, that's actually very nice to see it line up perfectly on the one example. Reversal range, taking out these short-term lows, and then following after taking out the data low, hitting 4 standard deviation before going for a retracement and then continuing to previous day low. Very unclear objectives in this one. By that, I mean there were a lot of options, no matter what you did. Even if you took your entire target from this point on, that's 2.52. I always say it, I always look for 2R as a minimum, and this provided this setup. But for me specifically, if I was to trade that, I would have been looking at this and this. Truth is, I'm not trading. I'm waiting. Basically, I just got my new Apex accounts, and they're ready for a payout. So I'm just waiting. I don't want to trade them because I don't want to have a bad streak and then have them be stuck in drawdown without never having taken money out of them. So no trading unless on my personal account, in which I trade swings, and I did not get a swing setup this week for myself. Can I speak about the next setups? Like, for example, from this point on, you could have had a possible retracement play. No. Why? Because my bias was bearish up until previous day low was targeted. And from that point on, you can see sessions closed. Was there a continuation opportunity? Well, yes, technically. What do I mean by technically is yes, but I would never look for a continuation. To me, I would have just missed my first setup. And if we look also at ES, we basically almost traded back all the way up here. Nothing tells me I'm looking for a short again, and I have no deeper understanding that tells me I can use this inverse fair value gap to trade this specific entry. So to me, there were no opportunities further down the line. This was really the trade to look for on today. If you missed it, if you missed any trade today or had a bad day, don't forget. All right, this is FOMC. You have an hour and 15 minutes until New York close. You don't have a lot of room to play. That's why most people just skip it. And tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, we expect our weekly expansion. It is, well, I don't want to make promises here, but we do expect nice price action and hopefully some nice expansion moves. Do we have any questions about today? And maybe some of you guys don't follow the same rules on myself and actually traded earlier in the day. I wouldn't mind going over some price action if we have any questions related to it. It's nice to see a few new faces in here as well. Welcome, guys. Are you thinking downside tomorrow? That is where my mind is right now. All right, well, I'm going to be honest with you, Wolfie. I do have my higher time frames objectives. And as I said at the beginning of this call, I want higher. That is my goal. That is my point. But I adjust on the daily via session profiling is the best way I can put it. So I won't have a clear idea to give until I see London. You can see that by going back on my YouTube in my live trading videos where we look at live PA. I have no idea up until I see London, because I have my higher time frame goals. I have my higher time frame draw. But what tells me if today we're going to go there compared to if today we're going to retrace in the opposite direction and then go for it? Well, I look at daily power of 3 and I utilize my sessions to profile what the next session will do. Very straightforward. So that's just why I don't want to be giving out stuff for tomorrow when, to be honest, it's a 50-50 shot in my mind at the moment. I'd like to see higher, but we could retrace deeper and expand lower for the rest of the week, just as we could consolidate for the rest of the month, right? It's a tricky one, September and start of Q4, but we'll see tomorrow. And as I stated very specifically, News Judah swing will probably be what defines my direction tomorrow. I expect not too much of expansion during London, and then the News Judah swing will form the daily low, or at least basically with SMT. Currently just tape reading myself, haven't been trading live. That will come, Wolfie. That will come very soon. You're starting the group in October, very soon. I forget that we could keep the breaker, so I was waiting for another breaker creation after 1445, so very clear now, thanks. It's my pleasure, right? You learn from me, Justin, so you know. This breaker already was formed, retraced into technically a unicorn, and then continued for. Would you have entered here? Maybe, but I know that waiting 15 minutes, more specifically it's 13 minutes, so I can put it here, but it comes down to the same thing, and it looked too perfect today, so I preferred just saying 15 minutes. But you give basically Powell time to speak, and that showed you the direction. He was going to dump it. Ideas to go back up, but now you have your framework. You can use your old breaker, just like you can wait for the formation of your following one. But since I understand in this very specific context, right? I'm not talking about whenever. I'm talking in this specific context. My pattern has already formed. I just couldn't trade it. So I want to get in this setup with a continuation entry as soon as I can. So it is one very specific time. But like I say, on days like this, you're happy if you didn't trade. You're happy if you got broken even. And of course, you're extremely happy if you made money. But for me, these types of days are just variance. So it's either I took a trade, I didn't see the trade, it was a hard one, I barely made profit. Sometimes they end up as a home run. Like, these are the days that I have variance in my model. They were very hard to see. You can justify long and short. With our specific levels, it makes the understanding easy, but maybe you did not spot these previous day high, previous day low. You just thought, okay, well, we retraced lower and now we're going to expand higher. And then here you said, okay, retrace to OTE of this range, right? Optimal trade entry. Let me just mark it out so I don't say any, whatever. You saw optimal trade entry at this point, right? Retrace to OTE, and now we're ready to go up. Sure, but up until what point? So to me, it's really about framing it based on these higher time frame levels, which is the only thing that allows me to filter my trades the best, if I can say that. But definitely a weird one. Be happy if you didn't trade. Be happy if you didn't lose money, is what I'm trying to say. These are scratch days. Very clear? Awesome. Do we have any final questions before we leave it for tonight? All good? All good as always. Lovely to hear. As you can see, Alex, these PA reviews are very chill. Very, very chill. Fair enough, Wolfie. That's a safe bet. That's a bet that will save you money oftentimes. That guy hates traders. I don't think he hates traders that much. Motherfucker spent his life trading or in finance. Same thing in my mind. But yeah, on that note, guys, I'm going to wish you all a great night. Good luck trading tomorrow. We'll be back here tomorrow night for another PA review, third of the week. Pretty packed week. But y'all have a great night. See you guys. See you, Alex.